let's start. And I want to start by thanking all of you for being here today. It's a pleasure, but also it's an honor to have you joining us to read your poetry. This is an occasion that has become some sort of tradition in our department to celebrate beauty, poetry, and in this case, also hope. The world is in need of a lot of hope, so we can bring some through poetry today. And we want to give a special thanks to Alexander Kavanov, who's here, although in Kiev they have been bombarded at the same time. So, Alexander, we thank you deeply that you are here with us despite the current military situation on the which you are right now. Today we have, as always, we have different poets from different countries and different languages, and they will be reading in their original languages, and students will be reading the translations into English. So we'll have music for the ears through this variety of languages and poetry, and it makes me really happy to see you here participating in this celebration of hope. So in the program today, we are starting with the Chinese language, and I will pass the baton to our dear Chin Swan, and she will introduce the poet and the students who are going to be presenting their work today. Thank you so much again for having making time to be with us. Chin Swan, all yours.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you so much for having the event. I think it means a lot for people who share the same interest to have a platform to share their thoughts, their work. And so representing our Chinese section, we have one poet and one student translator. So the poet we have here is Professor Low. Would you wave your hand? Okay, there he is. So he is going to reciting two poems. Professor Lowe is from Howard Community College in Columbia, and he was here with us last year, and we are really happy to have him back. And then it really warms my heart that, when somebody who came here last year and took initiative to ask, do you have this year? Because that'll be great. And so we are really happy with our returning customer. And so today he is going to recite one of the poems that of his, and to help with the event theme, which is hope. He is also going to recite the poem from Emily Dickinson. And our students, Rihanna Maeda, would you wave to the audience? She is our third-year Chinese student. She is one of our most achieving students in terms of not only her work, but the outcome. She speaks Chinese beautifully, grammatically correct, with right words and with complicated passages. So she is someone we are very proud to bring to this event. And so Rihanna and Professor Low, we work together to work on the translation. So Rihanna is going to recite the poems in translation in Chinese. And to top all this great work, Professor Low is going to sing the poems that he is going to recite, including the one of his own and also the one from Emily Dickinson. So let's give Professor Low a round of applause, and then he's going to recite the poems first, and then he will sing the song, and then Rihanna will read the translation. Rihanna, after Professor Low's Professor Low, would you like us to share the slides or?
So whatever you want to do. Yeah, if you want to, I don't know if you want to do I can recite the poem in English, and then I can do the Chinese translation, then I do the song, and then we switch to the next one. So it's kind of a sequence for both.
Sure.
So we can go that way. So wherever your slides fit in, that's fine.
Okay. Rihanna, would you please share your screen so that gives the audience something to look at, to visualize? Do you want to put in the plane? Okay. Can you switch to the next? Yeah, this one first.
Okay, so I'll I'll recite the first poem, and this is a poem that I wrote and set to music, and this just a little bit of context for it. So I speak Chinese very poorly, but I lived in China for 2 years, and I've done a lot of work with writing things that connect to Chinese philosophy or culture. And so this grew out of a time when I lived in China, and I had traveled with a Chinese friend to a place called Gushan, which is in Fuzhou. And we met a student who wanted to talk with me in English, and my friend put her phone number in the phone and just called her the Gushan girl, and that name kind of stuck with me. And the poem is an allusion to a famous work of Chinese literature that was written in the 5th century by a poet named Tao Qian, called The Peach Blossom Spring. And it's a kind of Chinese utopian story. So in the story, a traveler wanders upon a place and he finds people dressed the way that people would have been dressed centuries ago. And it's just a place of happiness. Everyone seems content, and there's no longing to be anywhere else but there. And he really feels happy there, but he thinks, I've got some other things I need to do, and I'm going to go back to my life. I'm going to come back here. So he goes back to his life, and then he goes back to the place where the peach blossom spring was, and he can never find the way back. And I read as a kind of allegory of attachment. And it's a little early to talk about Buddhism in China in the 5th century, but that's kind of the way I'm thinking of it. As a person who's still too attached to the world to be the place where he needs to be. So this is the Gushan girl. The Gushan girl's house. There's a place that I know deep in the Fujian hills where tea leaves steep in the wind up by the bamboo grove. Moon shining above, show me the way to the Gushan girl's house. Red sorghum wine and a warm fire where the ash stains the hearth. Long Guqin songs, shadow and light dancing on the mud walls. Peach blossom spring, scent of the earth, in the place where time dissolves. I left with the thought of return, but somehow lost sight of the way. Someday I'll get back again and shake my red dust at her door.
Beautiful. Rihanna, would you like to read the Chinese translation?
福山女孩的房子。我知道有一个地方，在福建的深秋里，在那里茶叶的香味随风散发在竹林里。高高的月光为我带路，走向古山女孩的房子。红色的高粱酒，还有温暖的火，把壁炉炉床都渲染成黑色。悠长的古琴歌曲，阴影和亮光，在泥墙上一起跳舞。春天的桃花绽放，泥土和大地的香味，都在这时间静止的地方。我离开的时候还期待有一天再回来，但是我找不到来时的道路。有一天我会再回来，在深山中古山女孩的家门口，我会卸掉我的牵绊与红尘。
Thank you. Now, Professor Low, would you like to share the music with us?
Okay, sure. So I don't know if I'm I can't see myself on the screen, so I don't know if I'm like positioned well for my video.
We can see you, but we don't see your guitar. So if you want us to see your guitar, maybe on
Yeah,
the...
maybe I don't know.
Okay,
How's that?
that's great.
Okay. All right, now I kind of see myself. So I'll preface this by saying that I got COVID in 2023, and it wasn't anything too terrible, but it damaged my singing voice, and I sometimes have trouble making it through a song without coughing, so I hope that doesn't happen, but if it does, let's blame COVID, okay? So here's my song. Deep in Fujian hills, tears deep Shadow and light dancing on the mud, speech blossoms ring, scent of the earth, playing. Time dissolves. Luftwind. Somehow, someday, over the way. Someday I'll get back again and shake my dust at her door. Show me the way to the Goshen's house. It's so behind and a long fire. The ash stains the hut, long blue chisels, shadow and light. Dancing on the each blossom spring, scent of the earth. Time is on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we'll move on to the second poem by Emily Dickinson.
Okay, so Dr. Wu told me what the theme was, and as a poet, I tend to be rather dark. So I was thinking, what kind of poet can I have? I don't really have a lot of hopeful poems. So I turned to Emily Dickinson, and this poem actually has a special meaning for me because during the first year I was living in China, I was homesick, and I told a friend about how I was feeling, and she sent me this poem. And it's kind of a reminder that no matter what circumstances you're in, hope is always there for you. You just have to let it sing within you. So this is Hope, Emily. Hope is a Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings a tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could have bashed the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. And before our translator steps in, I have to say that Dr. Wu is particularly proud of this translation. She thought it was really good, and she doesn't really like poetry as much as I do. So.
Okay, thank you.
I'll take her word for it. I don't really know what it's saying.
So Rihanna worked on the poem translation very hard, and then I help her, and I'm proud of, the collaboration process. So Rihanna.
期待，期待是长着羽毛的小东西，它轻抓着我们的灵魂，轻哼着超越此词的曲调，萦绕不停歇。在狂风暴雨中，它的旋律最暖人心。就算最激烈的风雨，也只能让这只温暖了很多人的小鸟暂歇。我在最冷的地方也听过它的声音，在最神秘的海洋也听过，但是从来没有一次它期待我给它任何的回报。
Thank you, Rihanna. Professor Wu?
Okay, so I'll do my vocal performance with this one, which I wrote the song actually shortly after my friend sent me the poem when I was living in China, and I did a multi-track recording. So there's a main vocal part and a harmony vocal, which I've not found a way to do at the same time. So I'm going to sing the main vocal part for the first two verses, and then I'll just do the harmony part on top for the third one. So this is a song I co-wrote with Emily Dickinson. Sorry, my guitar has a string that tends to go out of tune.
Can we hear him?
Can you hear?
No, we don't hear you.
Oh.
When you are talking, you are totally fine, but when you play the music, we couldn't hear you. Maybe you want to come closer to the microphone, or
I mean, I probably won't be able to get my head in and be any closer than this, but can you hear the guitar now?
How about the rest of the audience? No, right?
Did you hear it on the first song?
Yes, but not as clearly as when you were talking.
You don't hear any guitar?
Right now, no.
That's weird. I'll just do it a cappella then. I don't know why you would. Nothing?
A little bit. Did we hear a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything I can do on my end. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the problem is it's a finger picking song and it's really soft, but I don't know what to do about it. I'll just play it and you can hear what you hear.
Okay.
This is kind of
Is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune out the words and never stops at all. I hope, I hope, I hope, I and sweet still, gale is heard, and so must be the storm. I could have bashed the little bird that kept so many warm. I hope, I hope, I hope. I've heard it in the jealous land and on the strangest sea. It never in extremity, it has to grow with me. I hope, I hope, I hope, I hope.
Thank you.
Did you hear the guitar at all, or?
The guitar was I don't know if it's mine, but when you are singing, it was beautiful.
Oh, that was sort of unintentionally a cappella. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So we are done with the Chinese part, right? Or Reina, are you going to recite or not?
Oh, I already recited it.
Okay. So thank you so much, Reina. Thank you so much, William, and thank you so much, Shin Swan. Despite the technical difficulties, it was really nice to hear you both singing and reciting poetry in English and in Chinese. So thank you so much. And thank you so much, Shin Swan, for connecting them and for bringing William again this year. It's an honor and a pleasure to have him here. So next we are going to have poetry in the French language. And for that we have Patrick Lyons, who will be introducing Mohamed Kenzie, the poet, and the students who are going to be reading the translation in English. Patrick, it's all yours.
Great. So it is with great pleasure that I welcome Mohamed Kenzie to recite 3 of his poems, which have been translated very carefully by 3 of our excellent students, Molly McLaughlin, who is a major in English, Susie Kim, who is a double major in English and French, and Silvana Corrales-Cantalmi, who is a double major in classics and French. Each student will recite their translation of the poem following Mohamed's French original, but first just a few words about Mohamed and his biography. Mohamed Kenzie was born in Algeria in Magnia. He is 73 years old. He lived in France in the suburb of Nanterre from 1960 to 1973. And since 1973, he resides in Geneva in Switzerland. He is the author of a memoir called De la Menthe Sauvage, which I have here, published by Édition Grévy, and a book of poetry called Le Temps Mort, which is in my office, so I can't show you, along with other writings. And he is the recipient of the Plume d'Or de la Société des Écrivains Genevois. The first poem that we will read is entitled Miroir, and it will be recited first by Mohamed and then recited in translation by Susie.
Je parle, c'est ça?
C'est ça, miroir, oui.
Oui. Il n'y a pas une maison que tu n'habites, pas un mur, pas un hall que tu n'habites. Tu es le grand témoin muet des vestibules, le confident des petits comme des grands, complice malgré toi de bien des choses. Certains se confient à toi des bouts des lèvres, d'autres par provocation te font voir l'enfer. Les moins fiers plongent sans demi-mesure, sans grâce ni retenue, sans gloire, sans honneur, dans les reflets de tes eaux claires et limpides. Si la jeunesse te vénère, la vieillesse, Dieu te hait. Pris entre amour, la folie, la haine, le dégoût. Quoi qu'il nous arrive, quoi qu'il se passe, hélas, silencieux, toujours, par nature, tu le resteras. Ô miroir, lisse, témoin de nos colères imberbes, si les belles te confient un instant leurs secrets, jeunettes, boutons les crèveront sous ton nez. Fleurs de lys et ombrageux narcissiques verront, hélas, poindre à l'horizon les mauvaises saisons, dans tes eaux apparaître les griffes du temps. Tu connais les secrets du grand de ce monde, tous ces puissants qui se méfient de tes ondes, moi qui te vois là depuis bientôt 70 ans. Et emmuré tel un fidèle ami en ce cadre de bois, je te rends grâce de m'avoir gardé aussi vivant. Si ma belle un chouïa vieillit prématurément, ô miroir, fais en sorte qu'elle ne le voie pas. Toi qui ne sais ni mentir, ni user de grimoire, point de fausse note quand viendra le soir. Laisse-lui, je t'en conjure, ses maigres illusions, son petit sourire d'antan, celui de ses 20 ans.
Merci, Mohamed.
Merci.
And vas-y, Suzy.
Can you hear me? Is it good? Okay. Mirror. There is not a house in which you have not lived, not a wall, not a hall that you have not dressed. You are the great silent witness of the vestibules, the confidant of the small and big alike, and the accomplice despite yourself of many things. Some confide in you with reluctant lips, others for nothing will make you see hell. The least proud dive without half measure, with neither grace nor safety net, without shame. In them reflects your waters, clear and limpid. If youth honors you, old age despises you, caught between love, folly, the hate, and the distaste. Whatever comes, whatever may pass, alas, silenced still by nature, you will remain that way, mirror, smooth, witness of our adolescent anger. If a beautiful lady at one moment entrusts to you her secrets, youngsters, pimples, they will burst in your nose. Flower of the lily, irritable, narcissistic, will see. Alas, surfacing on the horizon, the malicious season, and in your waters appear the claws of time. You know the secrets of the adults of this world, all the powerful ones that doubt your waves. But I, who see you there for so long, immured since nearly 70 years exactly, I thank you for having kept me alive. If my love ages a tad prematurely, oh, mirror, make it so that she does not see. You who know not how to lie nor use grimoires, no falsified notes when the night will come. Leave her, I beg you, her meager illusions, her little laugh of days gone by, those of her 20s.
Thank you, Susie. It's a wonderful translation. Next up, we have Mohammed will recite the poem Au Petit Cœur, followed by the translation by Molly McLaughlin. Oh, Mohammed, t'es muté. Attends, je peux... Ah, voilà.
Ô petit cœur, laisse le temps au temps, oublie ces vieux amours, oublie les fausses notes, les vieilles redingotes, oublie les fleurs des champs qu'elle couchait en chantant. Oublie un instant mon cœur, les méfaits de cette guerre, donne le temps au temps. Oublie ce que dit le vent, ce vieux coureur de jupons qui ne vit que de passion. Laisse le temps au temps, écoute bien le vieux dicton. Un jour viendra mon cœur et tu oublieras ta douleur.
Merci. And Molly?
Can everyone hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, small heart, leave time to time, forget these old lovers of mine, forget the false notes of these old frock coats, forget the flowers of the fields where she lay singing, forget a moment, my heart, the misdeeds that this war imparts. Give the time to time, forget what the wind says, the old skirt chaser who lives only for passion. Leave the time to time, listen well the old Proverbs line, one day will come, my heart refrain, and you will forget your pain.
Wonderful. Okay, and finally, we have the poem Entends-tu?
Entends-tu, bel homme, la forêt manger, le grand arbre s'atrophier, les pins qui te tressent des gerbes de bois mort? Entends-tu, bel homme, le pressoir s'énerver, le vin s'embraser dans les bouches inivrées, dont le feu crépitant d'une nuit argentée? Entends-tu craquer sous les dents, noix et raisins à la belle saison? Entends-tu, bel homme, l'appel de la forêt, le sifflement du fouet, les coups répétés de la hache sur l'olivier, sur les coteaux d'Alger?
Wonderful. All right, Silvana.
Hello. Okay. Do you hear? You beautiful man, do you hear the forest as it is eaten? The large withering trees, the pines who weave wreaths of dead wood. You beautiful man, do you hear the press raging? Wine blazes in drunken mouths, in the spitting fire of a silver night. Can you hear the crunch under your teeth? Nuts and grapes of the beautiful season. You beautiful man, do you hear the call of the forest, the hiss of the whip, the repeated strikes of the hatchet on the olive tree on the slopes of Algiers?
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Mohammed, for being here with us and sharing your poetry.
Thank you so much. It was beautiful. Thanks, Mohammed. Thanks, Silvana, Susie, Molly. It was wonderful. And thanks so much, Patrick, for bringing Mohammed Kensi to us and the students for the translation and the reading. It was excellent. Thank you so much. And now, next, we have our own Nadav Lineal. He teaches with us in the Hebrew program and Jewish studies at Case Western Reserve University, and he has a PhD in Hebrew and Israeli literature and culture. But he is also a very accomplished poet, and he just recently, last semester, he was leading a workshop on poetry with Literary Cleveland. He has published 2 books, one in 2010 called Earth Ceiling and another one in 2021 called Praise. And he was the winner of the 2011 Teva Prize for Hebrew Poetry and the 2020 Prize for Poetry Manuscripts. Welcome, Nadav, to this new setting of your work, and thank you so much for sharing the poems with us. Nadav will be reading in Hebrew and then in the English translations of his own poetry. Thanks, Nadav. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everyone for being here and for the great poems that we heard both in the original and in their translations. I will read 2 poems from my second book, Hallel, and then I'll start with the original and then move to the translations. The translations were done in collaboration with a good friend of mine, Yoshua Tol, who's a he's a PhD from University of Michigan, where I did my doctorate too, and we've been working together on several translations in the past couple of years. Okay, so I'll just read Shabbat. So this poem, Sabbath, has a motto or a beginning quote from Allen Ginsberg. So I'll start with that and then I'll read in the Hebrew. So the quote is from Footnotes to Howl, Allen Ginsberg's phenomenal book. So here it goes. The skin is holy, the nose is holy, the tongue and cock and hand and asshole holy. Shabbat. שיר הלל לאור האלכסוני הניתח בחלון, למחיתות האור הנושקות את פניך, שיר הלל לחלל הזהוב הבהיר שבינינו. אתה יושב על הכיסא במטבח, קולף את קוצי הארטישוק עד הלב הלבן המתוק, או קם לשפוט מים או רודד דבש לתה, כפות רגליך נוגעות בעריכי הסומסום. ואני יודע ברגע הזה, הגוף קדוש, קדושות אצבעותיך נוגעות בספל, קדוש שערך, ארמוני עיניך, כף רגלך, ציפורניך, לבנות קדושות, האור הנוגע במרצפות קדוש. אתה קם ונושק לפתע לשפתיי, בחוץ זוג חצבים נדים ברוח כיהודים הנתונים בתפילה, וציפור שיר אולי זהבן, חוצה את החלום, הד קולה נשמע רגע ונמוג. And I'll read the translation. So Sabbath, here it goes. A hallel to the slanting light that splashes through the window, and to the light flux that kiss your face. A hallel to the gold expands the bright light between us. You sit on the chair in the kitchen, peeling artichoke stems down to the sweet white heart, then raise to set a water boiling, then scoop honey for tea. Your feet touch the terrazzo tile. And in that moment, I know the body is holy. Holy are your fingers that grasp the mug. Holy is your hair, your chestnut eyes, your feet. The whites of your nails are holy. The skin that touches the tiles, holy. You stand and kiss me suddenly on the lips. Outside, a pair of squills nod in the wind like Jewish men absorbed in prayer. And a songbird, an oriole perhaps, flies past the window, an echo of its voice briefly caught before subsiding. And then I'll read another poem. It's called Hamerkava, the Chariot. And it's in conversation with both Emily Dickinson's poem, Hope is the Fins with Feathers, but also the beautiful allegory in Phaedros from the Greek. Okay, המרכבה. כל הדברים מחונפים, הנפש למשל, בעיקשות, בכאב, עולה הכנף מתוך הנפש, כמו שן מתוך הבשר. הסוסים המחונפים מניעים את מרכבת הנפש, הסוס הזוהר הלבן והסוס הרזה השחור שליבו פועם בין צלעותיו. ומהו היופי אם לא החציר הזהוב הנגרס בשיני הסוסים. כנפי הסוסים מניעות את הנפש מעלה, רעמתם רועדת ברוח, האור העולה בשערותיהם, ואפשר לראות את השמש לרגע במשק כנפיהם. The chariot. All things have wings. For example, the soul. A wing emerges from its casting painfully, but without hesitation, like teeth through gums. Winged horses draw the chariot of the soul, the shining white horse and the meager black one, its heart pounding between its ribs. What is beauty if not the golden hay a horse grinds between its teeth? The horses bear the soul up, their manes shivering in the wind. The light fills their hair, and you can see the sun for an instant between the wing beats. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadav, for sharing your poetry, both in Hebrew and in English. It was beautiful. And this is an excellent way of communicate, even if we don't understand the languages in which the poetry is being read. It's beautiful to hear those different languages addressing basically the same human nature. So next we have our Fabienne Pissot Haymore, and she will be introducing some background about the Occitan language and the numerous mythological references that are included in the text that she's been working with. And she will at the same time introduce the student who will be reading, although we already know her because Silvana has already read for Mohammed translations. So Fabienne, the mic is all yours.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Today, my purpose is not so much to introduce you to, let's say, a poet or perhaps a written poem, but my purpose is to introduce you to a language and to a culture, which is Occitan. And Occitan, actually, it's a regional language of France that still has a tradition, but has less and less speakers nowadays. Historically, it's the area France is split into two areas. There are basically so many different languages and dialects that finally they are split into two parts. There's the Langue d'Oil, which is actually northern part of France, basically, and the Languedoc, which is the southern part. And the Langue d'Oil, in fact, is called this way because people, to say yes, say oil, and in the south, to say yes, they say oc. And that's the only reason why they call it, they divide the groups of languages between these two parts of France. In medieval times, the Languedoc is actually used by the troubadours. Because Occitan has many dialects. Occitan is a language, but it has many dialects. It has Occitan, it has Provençal, it has Nissar, and so on. It's still almost the same language, but it differs a little bit from a region to another. And it spans from Spain to Italy, actually, in the whole southern Europe. There are different brands of Occitan, in fact. And nowadays, Occitan has evolved from the Languedoc, actually. It's a Romance language. There are approximately 300,000 to 1 million speakers of Occitan nowadays. What does it mean? They use French usually or Spanish or Italian for their everyday use, but they usually, very few of them, in fact, express themselves directly in Occitan. It comes from the fact that there have been many policies in France since 1539. King François Ier, Francis I, who limited Occitan speakers, in fact, by imposing a brand new language that would be basically a harmonized, if you will, dialect that is French today, in fact, that France derives from today. And so they say roughly 300,000 Occitan speakers to 1 million today. I think it's more towards the 300,000. People are dying off. Poetry is not being written anymore. And it skipped a generation. My grandparents used to speak Occitan, for instance, but they never spoke it to our parents. And it skipped a generation. And now my generation has been trying to rekindle and to find Occitan all over again in text, in poetry, and so on. But there are a few poems that have been passed down to us. And some of them come from the troubadour. The troubadours were actually from the 12th to the 14th century, extremely instrumental in basically what we would consider today anarchists, thinking that is anything that could go against the government, for instance, protest songs and so on. And they get a huge echo in the political arena because they were listened to through their songs in Provençal mostly. And so some of the melodies of these songs were composed by the poets themselves. Some melodies actually comes from Gregorian chants. And they have come down today, they've come down to us through basically word of mouth. It's just oral tradition. The poem and song that I would love to introduce you to, it's called Les Fileiras. Les Fileiras means les fileuses, that is the spinners. And the spinners have a strong echo in Provençal culture because they are women, because they spin. What does it mean? Basically, spinning thread, starting life, but also dispensing the thread of life, but also cutting the thread of life. You see where I'm going? It is referring to the Parques, basically the fates, right? Clotho, Lachesis, right, and Atropos, right? And then, but he refers to the Greek Moiras also. The Moiras are just other goddesses, other divinities, actually, that anchor back to Greek tradition. So this poem is fraught with Latin and Greek tradition, in fact. And the three Moiras are Aglae, which means splendor, Euphrosyne, joy, and Thalia, the good cheer. And you see that the three characters in this poem are three women that echo exactly this. Lachesis, also Clotho, and Atropos, as well as Aglaea, Euphrosyne, and Thalia. And so this is a poem about femininity, water, actually the house. You'll see in the Occitan, in fact, they refer to la maison. La maison is the house, as opposed to referring to l'ustau. La maison is the rich house. L'ustau is the dwelling, is where you live. So it occurs the poem takes place in a rich home, basically, right? So there's water, femininity, home, but also home, that's where materials are processed, like where the wool is spun, where the magic of life happens, basically, where the magical powers just conjugate, with each other to create basically a world where the powers of women can be fully exercised. So it's some type of a feminist poem, actually, but it's also a work song. This work song was sung by spinners around the hearth, in fact, as you sing and you spin and you do this around the hearth at night. And this is a poem that in fact refers to water, beauty, sensuality, but also silver, because there's a silver comb in the poem also that refers to the moon, to intuition, and to mystery, in fact. I would love if Silvana, who is a major in French and classics also, and who has become a very dear friend of mine through the years, actually could read the translation in English, and that would be wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this, Silvana.
Of course. Thank you, Fabienne, for inviting me to read this wonderful poem. The Spinners. Down on the river shore, there once was a rich home. 3 spinners lived there, and they were spinning all day long. There was Jean, and Marion, and Claire, who lightened days and nights and days. Her mother brushed her hair with a silver comb, and her father adorned her with an abundance of praise. When she gazed at her reflection in the water of the fountain, a bird would land next to her to sing a song. One day, the king's son passed by the fountain where she stood, and asked, "Pray tell, beautiful spinner, are you named Janeton?" "My elder sister is named as such. If you're looking for a friend, feel free to enter our home."
I would love to share the text with you in Provençal, actually in Occitan. I'll read it and then I'll just perhaps play a short version of the song, actually, as played by a friend of mine who is a Occitan revival activist, actually, and who has been recording a lot of songs and hosted shows also literally in Occitan on French television for many years. So it's called Les Filles Lairas. Okay. Ok. Avao e la riviera e una ricca maison. Dedin sunt tre filairas che filon tout lo giorno. L'una s'appelle Joanna e l'altra Marion. L'altra s'appelle Clara e sclera nuece John. Sa mare la pincena d'un pence d'argento in son pere la coifa d'una di galon. Cantella se miraia dins l'aiche della font un silenzio in pausa per gli fare una canzone. Lo figlio del re passava, l'hai trovata alla fonte. Digaz, bella filera, a quoi svos già tu? Nani, ma sola e nada s'appella da che o no. Se cerca un'amiga d'intras din la maison. And that's the poem. I would love to share with you just an excerpt of the song as it is sung in Occitan, always to the same music, actually, since the music comes from a Gregorian chant. Actually, it is this music, and this work song is always set to the same Gregorian chant, actually. So there are many versions of it, but always to the same music. So let me know if you can hear it. And this is my friend Michaela, who is actually the Provençal Occitan activist revival. Can you hear it?
I think it's because you're muted.
Thank you. I didn't want to create too much background sound, but I'm going to start again. Thank you so much for mentioning.
We can't hear it, but I think if you go into the sharing tab on the top, it should be share audio as well.
Okay, wait, on top. I'm sorry for the technology. Help, Silvana, help. Okay, yeah. Okay, probably. Okay.
In the settings where you share your screen, there might be a way it might say share audio as well.
You can unshare first. And
Yes,
then I share again. And then before you click which one you want to share on the right hand side.
Okay, I see.
Like share.
Advanced sharing options, but I cannot see anything actually. Multiple panelists, host only. I just don't have that. It's not coming.
So you click share, right? So you're gonna see several different options which screen you want to share, right?
Yeah.
Before you click right to the right hand side, there should be question like share. Do you want to share the audio? You want to optimize the audio? Do you see that?
Okay. Oh well, I really don't have the computer audio. Okay, I think I have it. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry about this. I'm just not very extremely proficient with this, obviously. So okay, that should be this one. Okay, thank you. I hope this works, and otherwise we'll. Oh well, it's a shame, but that's okay. I'll send you the link. Unfortunately, in spite of my attempts, it doesn't work.
I think that it has to do because YouTube has a feature that doesn't allow to share anything live when you are in a Zoom meeting. I think that's that.
Okay, I'll show you just a second then the how it goes. Ava wala riviera lunarica meizum. Din son tre filaira que filon tu. L'odio. L'una s'appelle Joanna et l'autre Marie. L'una s'appellera Clara Esquera Nuei. Et Joy. Sa madre la pencena d'un pinche d'argentum. E son padre la qual fa d'una rei. Galou. When la se miraya deslinga de la food. Una celon si pausa per far una canzone. Lo fio d'ore passava la rubada alla food. Di cats per la fila era correspos. Janetto. Nani masola naida s'appelle Dakeonu. C'est cerca una amica d'intras dins la maison. So you have it. Sorry, I had to do it a cappella, but so, and this songs that grandparents sing to you when you're a kid growing up in Provence, actually. Thank you so much.
No, thanks to you, Fabienne. It was beautiful. Thank you so much. I think that at the end, I prefer that the technology didn't work out and we were able to hear your voice singing. You are a woman of many resources, so I really appreciate that you sang the song. It was beautiful. It was very, very beautiful. Thank you so much for doing this. So next, we move to Korean language, and our own Jung-kun Kim will introduce her students who wrote poetry and translated that poetry as well into Korean. So Jung-kun, if you want to please introduce your students, the mic is all yours. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. For the Korean program, 2 students will read their own poems. First, let me introduce Caleb Oh. Caleb is a beginning level student. And he has never studied Korean before, but using only the grammar and expressions learned in class, he created Shijo. Shijo is a traditional Korean poetic form consisting of a 3-line structure. Caleb used this form to express hope for the new generation in the midst of a challenging life. Yes, after he reads this poem, another student in the Korean program, Andrew Cho, he will read the English translation. So please welcome Caleb.
Hello. Just to give a little background about Shizhou, it is usually 3 lines, and there's a certain like syllable count that you need to require, and also the last line will like reveal some information about the poem. So I'll just get started now. 일은 너무 힘들어. 저는 지쳤어요. 하지만 저는 무엇을 위해 일하는지 기억했어요. 그리고 제 본인의 임시한 배 보고 희망을 찾아요.
Thank you, Carol. Yeah, let's hear from Andrew. It's a translation. Andrew, are you ready?
Be reading the English translation of Kale's poem. So it's called Hope for the New Generation. It says, work is too hard. I am exhausted. But I remember what I'm working for. And I look at my wife's pregnant belly and find hope.
Thank you, Andrew. Let me introduce Andrew Cho again. He is a student in the intermediate Korean class. And he's a second generation Korean American, born and raised in the United States. So he's had a few opportunities to read Korean poems, but he challenged himself to write a poem in Korean, and it's beautiful. Please welcome Andrew Cho. Yeah.
Okay, I'll read my poem in Korean. 혹시 그거 알아요? 어둠 속에서 길을 잃고도 촛불 하나 꺼뜨리지 않는 사람들, 자신의 그릇이 비어 있어도 다른 위에 잔을 먼저 채우는 사람들, 비바람 속에서도 한 송이 꽃처럼 피어나는 사람들, 무너지는 날들 속에서도 화편을 모아 별을 만드는 사람들, 그런 사람이 당신이라는 거 혹시 잊고 있었나요?
Thank you. Carol will read English translation. Carol?
Okay, so I'll be translating Andrew's beautiful poem. Did you know, even after getting lost in the dark, some keep a candle burning? Even when their bowl is empty, they pour water into others' cups first. Even in wind and rain, they bloom like a single flower. Even in shattered days, they gather pieces and build stars. That kind of person, maybe you forgot that it's you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your poetry. Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Junkun, and thank you so much, Caleb and Andrew. It was beautiful. It's inspirational that you are writing and translating your own poetry. So thank you so much. It reminds me of a movie that I watched a few years ago, a Korean movie that is called Poetry. So if you haven't seen that movie, I strongly recommend it to watch that movie. It's a beautiful film. So thank you so much for bringing these students, Kim. And now we go for to the German language, and our own Eno Lohmeyer, he will introduce the invited poet today, Inge Werman. So Eno, please introduce Inge and also James, the student who will be translating, will be reading the translation of Inge's poems.
Yes, Inge Berman is a translator of literary works from English, Swedish, Danish, and Norwegian. But she has also published and written her own children's books and poems. And today she will read 2 of her own poems and 1 that's based on an old children's story. And James Bish will read the English translation, and he has been with the German program since the very beginning of his first year. And he's graduating now with a major in German, and he has been the club president for 2 years, and he's also taking Chinese. All right, Inge. Unmute. unmute. We cannot hear you. Inge. You have to now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you, Anu, and thank you all for having me. So this is my first poem. Suche nach Hoffnung. Hoffnung, nicht leicht in diesen Tagen. Wo danach suchen, wen danach fragen? Hoffnung, fast unmöglich in dieser Zeit, voller düsterer Prognosen und Uneinigkeit. Freund wird zum Feind, Gutes wird schlecht. Falsches wird richtig und Unrecht wird recht. Doch selbst in größter Not und schwärzester Nacht haben Menschen Hoffnung und Mut aufgebracht und alles getan, um Böses zu wenden und Terror und Unrecht zu beenden. So bleibt die Hoffnung auf eine bessere Zeit, auf Vernunft und Versöhnung und Mitmenschlichkeit.
All right, James.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. A quest for hope. Hope, a difficult topic nowadays. Where can we seek it? Whom can we ask? Hope, almost impossible in these times of gloomy predictions and disunity. Friends become foes, good becomes evil, wrong becomes right, and injustice just. But even in deepest distress and darkest night, people found courage and hope, and did all they could to fight off evil, to end terror and wrongness. So there is still hope for a better time, for reason, kindness, and compassion.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, James. So the next poem, Zwischen Angst und Hoffnung. Angst vor der Zukunft, vor Krieg und Gewalt, Angst vor Armut und Not, Angst vor Krankheit und Tod, Angst vor ruchlosen Teufeln in Menschengestalt, Angst vor Verrohung, Bosheit und Schmerz, Angst vor Kummer und Leid, Angst vor Mobbing und Streit, Angst vor eiskalten Menschen ohne Herz. Hoffen auf Mitgefühl und Toleranz, Menschen richtig zu sehen und zu verstehen, hoffen auf Menschlichkeit und Akzeptanz.
Between fear and hope. Fear the future of violence and war, fear of hardship and need, fear of illness and death, fear of ruthless devils in human shape. Fear of brutalization, malice, and grief, fear of sorrow and pain, fear of mobbing and strife, fear of uncaring humans with hearts made of ice. Hope for empathy and compassion, for appreciation of others, and real understanding. Hope for tolerance, insight, and love.
Thank you, James. So the next poem is based on a fable, actually, about two frogs. So it's called Zwei Frösche. Zwei Frösche namens Fred und Frank, vor Durst und Hunger schon ganz krank. Machen Sie sich auf die Socken, denn Ihr Teich ist pulvertrocken. Hier gibt es weder Trunk noch Speise, so hopsen Sie davon ganz leise. Bald finden Sie ein Bauernhaus, gibt's hier wohl einen schönen Schmaus? Ohne Zaudern und Gejammer hüpfen Sie zur Vorratskammer, landen im Krug voll Milch, schön fett. Oh, wie jubeln Frank und Fred. Füllen ihre Bäuche, schlabbern sich satt, werden bald müde und fühlen sich matt. Der fettige Rahm wird nun zur Plage. Wie kommt man hier wieder raus? Das ist die Frage. Dem Krug entfliehen klappt nicht, weil der Rand ist viel zu glatt und steil. Unmöglich ist's, ihn zu erklimmen. Die Fröschlein müssen weiter schwimmen. Fred gibt bald das Strampeln auf, lässt dem Schicksal seinen Lauf. Traurig er noch einmal winkt, bevor er in der Milch versinkt. Frank will sich nicht geschlagen geben. Zu sehr hängt er an seinem Leben. So verhält er sich gescheiter und strampelt unverdrossen weiter. schwimmt und schwimmt die ganze Nacht, bis er morgens früh um 8 spürt unterm Fuß ein Butterstück. Jetzt kann er springen, welch ein Glück. Mit einem Hops ist er befreit, dank Hoffnung, Mut, Beharrlichkeit. Haben die wohl mitgekriegt, dass sich das gereimt?
So,
Ja, sorry.
two frogs. Two frogs named Fred and Frank, both sick from hunger and thirst. They hit the road, 'cause their pond is dry as dust. Here's neither food nor drink, so they quietly hop away. Soon they reach a farmhouse. Is there a good meal for them here? Without whining and delay, they leap into the pantry and land in a jug full of high-fat milk. Oh, how Fred and Frank rejoice. They fill their tummies and slurp till they're full. Soon they get tired and start to feel faint. The creamy milk is becoming a plague. How can they escape, they ask themselves. Getting out of the jug doesn't work. The brim is too slippery and steep. Climbing up is impossible, so the frogs must swim and swim. Soon Fred stops paddling, gives himself up to fate. Sadly, he waves one last time before he drowns the milk. Frank doesn't want to admit defeat. He clings to his life and acts wiser than his friend, swims and swims the whole night long, until at 8 in the morning he feels a lump of butter under his feet. Now he can jump, can't believe his luck. With one big hop, he's free again, thanks to steadiness, hope, and courage.
Thank you so much, Inge, James, and of course, Noah, for bringing Inge to us and for sharing this hopeful, full of hope poetry. So thank you so much for being here, Inge. It's an honor. And now to finalize our reading poetry today, this multilingual reading poetry that has become a tradition in the Department of Modern Languages, I want to invite Tatiana Silotina to introduce our Ukrainian poet, Alexander Kavanov, to read his poetry, and as well as the student who will be reading the translation, Katarina. Tatiana, please go ahead.
You're muted.
Katarina?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to unmute myself and obviously forgot. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm introducing to you Alexander Kabanov, a Russian-Ukrainian poet who was born in Kherson, Ukraine, and now resides in Kiev. He graduated from the School of Journalism in Kiev State University and is the author of 9 books of poetry and numerous publications in major Russian literary journals. Kabanov is said to be one of the leading poets of his generation. He has been awarded several prestigious literary prizes, among them the Russian Prize, International Voloshin Prize, Antologia Prize, and the Novy Mir Literary Magazine Award for the best poetry publication of the year. His poems have been translated into German, English, Dutch, Ukrainian, Kazakh, and other languages. Since 2005, Kabanov has been the chief editor of the Journal of Contemporary Culture Show and coordinator of the International Poetry Festival, Kievskaya Lavra. Welcome, Alexander. We are all ears. And after each poem, Katarina will read the translation. Okay?
Begin?
Давайте.
Не хватает, начинаю, спасибо. Не хватает деталей, закажите немного, тех деталей, в которых зима обнимает кота, словно младшего бога, созревает дыханием тьма. Тех деталей, в которых, вращаясь утробно, свежим снегом хрустит коленвал, тех деталей, в которых построчно, подробно дьявол прятался и ночевал. Время движется тяжко и краеугольно в бесконечной своей новизне, Не хватает деталей, чтоб сразу, не больно, чтоб не страшно, внезапно, во сне. А стихи — это значит заведовать болью, окуная паяльник в припой. Пахнет медленным оловом и канифолью, даже Новиков пахнет прибой. Над окопами звон похоронных медалей, отрывается снег от земли. Для начала войны не хватало деталей, и внезапно детали пришли.
Okay, so can everyone hear me? What is lacking are details. Commission more detail where, in winter's predictable mess, darkness worships the cat as some junior idol, keeps him cozy and warm in its breath. Lucid details galore, where the crankshaft of weather daily crunches fresh snow over ice, where the devil, in his sly interlinear manner, has pervaded our innocent nights. Time chugs heavily on in a merciless fashion, filled with news like an infinite scream. But what's lacking are details of mercy, compassion. May we painlessly pass in a dream. To write verse means to be a disburser of pain. Dip the soldering iron in solder. Let it smell of slow lead, of hot tin, and of rosin. Even literature smells like a soldier. Let the funeral medals, ever jangling, keep score over snow levitating with force. We were lacking the details of the start of the war, but those details emerged in due course.
Thank you. Перед самым началом утра, когда проступают швы, едва подсохшие ранки, битое в кровь стекло, возраст спящих людей, снега, листвы, травы. Не плачь, мой милый, непобедимо зло. В час, когда трижды некому прокричать, съеден петух на ужин, семейное серебро было украдено, вышел Майнкампф, печать. Не плачь, мой милый, непобедимо добро. Мертвые птицы, обняв свои гнезда, падают вниз, тонут в море дельфины. Это последний шанс. Дан во спасенье, но Бог запретил ленд-лиз. Наше с тобой бессмертие — это баланс, баланс. Голод, разруха, смерть, страх, первородный грех. Непобедимы все, нет на них топора, и только любовь сосет, хавает грязь за всех. Но только она спасет, и только она твой смех. А вот теперь, мой милый, плакать пора, пора. Translation.
Just before daybreak, when darkness starts to reveal the age of foliage, snow, grass, sleeping people, glass shattered, bloody wounds beginning to heal, don't cry, my dear. It's impossible to defeat evil. At the hour when no one's left to crow 3 times, for the rooster's been roasted and ended his days as food, silverware stolen, my Kampf published and advertised, don't cry, my dear. It's impossible to defeat good. Dead birds hugging their nests are falling from trees. Dolphins are drowning. It's the last chance before doom, given to save us. But God disallowed Lend-Lease. Our immortality, yours and mine, is in equilibrium. Hunger, death, devastation, fear, the original sin. There is no axe to hack them. They won't die. And only love chomps up slime and filth, sucks it in. But only love is your smile. Only love will win. And now, my dear, is the time to cry, to cry.
Thank you. Бог еще не прикрыл этот грязный гнилой бардак, и устроить всемирный потоп еще не готов, потому что люди исправно выгуливают собак, потому что люди послушно прикармливают котов, и пускай они убивают других людей и богов, пишут жуткие книги, марают свои холсты, не хватает крепкой руки и просоленных батагов. Человечество — это прислуга для красоты. Мы живем для того, чтобы коровам крутить хвосты, добывая роуминг, пестуя закрома, подражаем птицам, рожаем в горах цветы. Красота такая, что можно сойти с ума. Обхватив колени, сидишь на исходе дней, и глаза твои, запотевшие от вина, видят бледных всадников всех 4 коней, а за ними волны и новые племена. translate.
God has not yet shut down this dirty, rotten bordello and isn't prepared to unleash a new global flood because folks still walk their dogs daily and say hello because folks still daily feed their cats their cat food. So let folks kill other folks along with their other gods. Let them write terrible books, paint execrable canvases. What's lacking is a strong hand with an iron rod. Humankind are but chattel slaves to beauty's cause. Our purpose of life is to ply our folksy crafts, to secure roaming service, to stock the granary. So we imitate birds and grow flowers on mountain cliffs, creating such beauty it's too easy to go crazy. Embracing your knees, you sit at the close of days, perceiving starkly with wide, wine-misted eyes the four horses and the riders on them as pale can be, and behind them the waves of newborn tribes.
Last. Сегодня ночью я спокоен, пусть кошка спит лицом ко мне, как маленький китайский воин, и улыбается во сне. Спокоен я в автомобиле, спешащем на прием к врачу, ведь нас сегодня не бомбили, и Бог не погасил свечу. Он отозвался с колоколен своим утробным языком, чтоб нас утешить. Я спокоен, и нынче не звоню по ком, вдоль переулка пахнет сдобой, сбежавшим кофе за углом, и Киев, окруженный злобой, вдруг переполнился добром. Вот в парке раздают обеды для беженцев и стариков. Весна, как время для победы и для высоких облаков. Пусть в мире тесно от пробоин, в которых слышен дальний свет. Пусть кошка спит, я так спокоен, что улыбаюсь ей в ответ.
Tonight, I'm feeling so much lighter. My cat is smiling in her sleep, my elegant imperial fighter. She looks at me and counts her sheep. While being checked by physicians, I'm feeling confident enough. I know today that missiles missed us, and God, the candle, did not snuff. He answered me from Campanile with his deep-chested, soothing call. He managed to placate me, really, and I will hardly for you toll. Buns smell in streets, divine and feeble, in alleys scent of coffee beans. In Kiev, which was struck by evil, is now safe. That's what it means. Let refugees receive free dinners along with elders in the park. Here comes the spring, we shall be winners. And to new heights let clouds embark. The world is full of bullet holes, and the rays of light and gashes blur. My cat is sleeping, and she knows that I smile calmly back at her.
Thank you so much, Katarina.
Спасибо большое, Александр. Thank you, Katarina and Alexander. That was
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
That's all.
Alexander and Katarina. I mean, unless you have another poem to read, we'll be delighted to hear you, okay? I don't know if Katarina has any other translation to go on.
Katarina has nothing else, but Alexander, do you have more poems in Russian and translation? No? Probably not today.
Yeah, probably not ready to jump into the pool right now.
Yeah, but they are very special.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you so much again, Alexander and Katarina and Tatiana. Thanks to you for bringing Alexander here. It's an honor to have you here, Alexander, and we hope that you can make it for next year also and to be with us. It's great to have you every year with us here. And I think that this event has been great, and hearing all the poems and the poets reading in different languages is just music for the ears, and it gives us a sensation of there is hope. While there is poetry, there will be hope as well, and vice versa. While there is poetry, there will be hope. So with that final note, I want to thank all my dear colleagues at the Modern Language Department who made possible to have this event: Nada, Fabienne, Jungkoon, Patrick, Tatiana, Eno, Chin Swan. Thank you so much for bringing these students and for working with them, and also for bringing these great poets that you have brought today into this event. Thanks to our students, Katarina, Silvana, Caleb, Andrew, Reina, Molly, Susie, and James, and of course, our dear poets, Alexander, William, Mohammed, and Inge. Thanks for taking the time to share your hopes and your poems with us. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day and have a great weekend. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.